Sorry about that. I think I've got it fixed now. I just need to give the link to anyone who's still over at the other one. Please bear with me. I'm very sorry about this. There we go. Alright, let's get that link to anyone who's over at the other one. Alright. Alright. Boop, boop, boo. There we are. And I'll just give this link back to my Facebook. And we are back. Okay. Alrighty. I think it's going to take everyone a minute to get back over here. Sorry about that. My computer is giving me some very, very, very confusing feedback. I'm still learning with this, but hopefully that'll be the last time we have technical difficulties with this. And I'm going to go back to doodling and sketching and talking about Then It Was Dark. And if anyone wants to give me some comments or suggestions on what to draw, then I will draw them. But anyway, as I was saying about Then It Was Dark, you know, because I got way more submissions than I expected, way more quality submissions than I expected to get, I wanted. Wait, I've already said this. I wanted to make sure that they had enough similarity to be a coherent whole, but enough variety that, you know, they covered a pretty broad range of topics. And, you know, they're not all scary. There's some that are kind of funny. There's some that are kind of sweet and sad. There's some that are a little bit hard to classify. And I think that there's a decent variety in terms of the different art styles there, while still having, again, kind of like this cohesive whole to them. I'm very sorry about that interruption. Okay. Boom. Gone. I feel so bad because I know there were a bunch of you who were on before, and now I think that you've gotten confused because the live stream disappeared. So, starting things up again, if anyone wants to leave suggestions for what to draw, feel free. If anyone has a question about the anthology, or has something they want to talk about specifically, or there's something they want me to talk about regarding the anthology, you know, because I'm just going to be talking in broad general categories right now. So, you know, if there's anything specific that they want me to talk about, then just ask and ye shall receive. I'm going to actually just check. No, never mind that. So I'm going to keep an eye on the comments box. If anyone has anything that they want me to talk about, anything they want me to draw, just let me know. I'm not really sure what I'm drawing right now. I just started doodling. So we'll see. Oh, shoot. You know what? I think that there may be some people still being directed to the old one. I'm just going to make sure that there's a link at the one that some people were accidentally directed to. but that takes them here to the proper one. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to fade you to red for just 1 second. Actually, no, I don't think I need to do that. I'm just gonna get going with this one, and hopefully anyone who is still at the other one will be able to get back to this one. If there's any problems with this one, if anyone's having any technical difficulties here, just let me know in the comment box, okay? And I'm going to just get back to doodling this. So, let's see. Until I'm given something specific to talk about, I feel like I should say something to fill airtime. So, I'm going to talk about my relationship with horror comics. I've kind of been a fan of horror and spooky things for about as long as I can remember. I think, honestly, for a long time I was someone who didn't read manga until someone introduced me to Junji Ito, and he was sort of my gateway drug into that whole, I guess, I don't know if you'd call it a genre, but, you know, subheader of styles, let's say. You know, I think that Junji Ito is still, to me, the gold standard for horror comics. I think that horror in a comic is a kind of tricky thing to achieve. I'm not alone in thinking that, partly because I think the reader has a degree of control that the reader of a novel or of, say, the watcher of a film will not have. You know, if you're reading a novel, then you can't control, I mean, you can sort of control the time in that you can set it down and pick it up again and read a little bit of it and then come back and read a little bit more. But, you know, it's, you can't control the sense of time in that one event is going to come after another. You can't flip through a novel the same way you can flip through a comic, because you're not really going to absorb too much. You know, you can flip ahead in a book and read a little section of it, but you may or may not be completely lost. And even if you're not completely lost, you're just not going to be able to absorb as much at a glance. If there's some sort of scary image later on in a comic and the artist builds up to it, you, even if you don't do this, you know you can just flip straight to it and kind of get that scare out of the way. And I think there's a certain comfort in that. And that means it's a little harder to create an atmosphere of fear. Not impossible, though. In a film, which, like comics, is a visual medium, you know, you have so much less control. You can't flip through anything. And you know, there might be a sound that'll come up or an image that'll come up, and you will have absolutely no control over when it comes up. You know, you can't prepare for a jump scare necessarily, but even if it's not a jump scare, there's just images and sounds coming past you in a film. You aren't turning any pages, you aren't reading anything. You have, the only kind of control you can have is you can stop the film, basically. Or you could fast forward, but that would be kind of silly to just fast forward through a movie. But a comic, you can flip through it. You can't, like, show something really quickly and then take it away in a comic, because the image is forever on the page, you know? In a film, you can show something scary really quickly, and it's kind of there and back before you can understand what you've seen. But you can't do that in a comic, because if you show something once, you're showing it forever. The reader can look at it for as long as they like. They can see all the details in it. And I think because in horror, a lot of things are about showing only a little and letting the reader's imagination fill in the rest, that makes it very, very tricky, especially when, you know, you're kind of building up to a scary image. I think Junji Ito is able to do it partly because he just draws really scary, scary stuff that doesn't really become less scary the longer you look at it. But for some people, I think even that does. And part of it is, with Junji Ito, I think, he's able to create an atmosphere that is itself scary, even if the payoff doesn't necessarily work for you. Like in Uzumaki, which, you know, is probably where a lot of people started with Junji Ito. It's certainly where I started with him. The behavior of people in that town, as it becomes more and more infected, is kind of freaky enough on its own that you don't need all the body horror and freaky images. I mean, those are nice too, but the creepy behavior is scary enough just on its own. Okay, I think that there are still some people who are not getting the link to here. I'm going to just really quick go on Kickstarter and send them that link to the correct one now. So, you can still hear my voice, I'm still here, you're just fading to red for a minute. And I'm going to keep talking so that you know I'm here, so that I have not disappeared on you again. Let's see, I was talking about Junji Ito. Alright. I apologize, this is my first live stream. I'm flying by the seat of my pants completely. Alright. Alrighty. Ha! There we go, I've got a comment from someone. Let's see. Hi, I'm pretty stoked about this book. Oh, and it disappeared. Okay, here we go. I'm pretty stoked about this book. Recently I've been drawn to terror comics, and especially online terror comics, so I'm looking forward to it. Since I'm here, why don't you draw something from... Something from... Something from... Where are you, comment? Okay. Something from my nightmares. There we are. Something from my nightmares to keep to the theme of this comic. Well, alrighty, I aim to please. Something from my nightmares. Trying to remember the last nightmare I had that was an actual scary nightmare, not a stress nightmare. I unfortunately have a lot of what I think of as the lamer kind of nightmares, where it's like, oh, I'm late to class, and I'm back in high school also, and I got this class I haven't attended, and apparently you're going to keep having those kinds of nightmares, specifically high school. It's weird. I don't really have nightmares where I'm late for work. It's just high school again for some reason. I guess because that was a terribly stressful time for me. I'm getting you back to my actual screen now. But yeah, I've been having like a lot of stress dreams, but not actually fun nightmares, scary nightmares. But I've had some of those too. Okay, I've had one a while ago that I remember very, very vividly. That was I was in this sort of haunted house, and it was, when I say haunted house, I mean like within the context of my dream, it was a fake haunted house. It was like the kind that goes up around Halloween, and then you go in there and people jump out at you and scream, and it's fun, not like an actual haunted house. But like I was just going there for fun, and it was a little jumbled and confusing as dreams tend to be. But what happened basically is something was wrong with the actors. I don't know if in my dream I thought that they were somehow serial killers or something, but something was wrong with them. And there's this image that I remember extremely vividly that was I was being put in front of this big bucket of what I thought was fake latex skin. And I thought that until something happened, which I'm going to draw, something the kind of thing that only makes sense in dreams. And, in my dream that allowed me to realize that it wasn't fake latex skin, it was actual human skin. And that image stuck with me pretty well, so I'll draw that. And basically, one of the actors in the haunted house that I was visiting in my nightmare forced someone to bend over the big drum of latex, and his skin, his flesh started to spontaneously sort of slog off and pour into the vat. I think when it comes to scary things, we all have our own sort of triggers. I have a friend who is very, very, very touchy if there's anything in a movie, even if it's just the threat of something, happening to someone's eyes. Some people, including me, I think a lot of artists and other people who work with their hands have similar things about fingers or hands being injured. And for me, something that's really big in that area is skin. Just, There's a show that I might have once or twice mentioned every now and then in passing for anyone who knows me and knows what my interests are. There's this little tiny obscure TV show called Hannibal. I say that jokingly, but apparently its ratings are not nearly as good as you would think if you were on the internet. But it's certainly a show that is very, very critically acclaimed, and for good reason. It's a very good show. And it's a very, very gory show, as anyone who's watched it will know. And I've been able to watch most of it completely fine. Like, even recently, the last episode, if you've seen the last episode, I don't need to tell you anything about it. You know what I'm talking about. I was able to watch that scene without really having any problems. It was a great scene, but I wasn't really too grossed out or disturbed by the gore in it. But anytime they do anything that's really, well, I guess that one was a little skin-centric too, but anytime they do anything that's really skin-centric, there was only one moment in the series where I really had to look away from the TV and I could not look back until that moment had passed, and that was something skin-related. Let's see here. But yeah, for that dream, I could smell the latex in my dream. And the funny thing is, it smelled like latex. It didn't smell like skin at all, but somehow that made it worse. I don't know. Dreams tend to be very personal, so maybe this isn't nearly as disturbing to people watching it. Maybe this is just goofy to people watching. But just gonna check, see if there are any other comments. Okay, if anyone wants to throw up a comment and tell me what they want to see, what they want me to talk about, or what they'd like me to draw, feel free. Well, this was what I was going to draw, but what the heck, I'll just add on to it a little bit. For a little while anyway, until I get tired of it. Depending on whether or not you're just joining us, this might well look like the stuff in the container is just a blob that's engulfing people. So let's see. What else can I talk about with Then It Was Dark? Well, as you all know, it is on Kickstarter. It's almost 2/3 funded, and it is still looking for backers. Got some extremely, extremely talented artists and writers. No, that looks a little bit wrong. Yes, that's the part of this that looks wrong, because it looked a little bit like a dick. But the guy getting his skin pulled off of his body into the giant vat of skin and flesh, that's fine, that's fine. Just, nothing that looks like genitals. That would be wrong. It's interesting because there's a bit of a delay. So I'm keeping an eye on this just so I can watch people's comments. Unfortunately, because of the way Photoshop displays something, you can't screencast just Photoshop. You have to show the whole screen, so you get to watch me keep an eye on the comments. Alright. I think I'm about done with this one. So, let's see. Wonder if there are any other nightmares I can draw. I can just draw an image that's common enough that it's been in my nightmares as it's probably been in almost everyone's nightmares, I think. Maybe not this exact image or this exact face I'm going to be drawing, but something very similar in nature. You'll see this sort of set of similar features and attributes in a lot of horror, just because it's a common enough scary idea. A humanoid face with a smile that's very wrong in some way. Either far too wide or full of teeth or both, or something else is wrong with it. So. So I've been talking a little bit about horror in terms of fiction more. Even though Then It Was Dark is, I guess, the closest you come to nonfiction horror. because all the stories in it are true. They're either personal experiences or the experiences of people that the writer knows personally, or else there are a few that are just sort of nonfiction historical ghost stories. I mean, it's up to the reader to decide how much they want to believe or not believe, but, you know, if nothing else, these are as true as memoirs, let's put it that way, you know? If nothing else, they are the experiences of someone. Well, that looks ridiculous. Let's turn it into a little princess crown. Little princess crown for the giant carnivorous worm. Hopefully, there aren't any more technical problems this time, but if there are still any kind of problems, if you're having trouble hearing me, if you can't see the video, just let me know in the comments, and hopefully I can fix that. So let's see, what else can I talk about when it comes to Then It Was Dark? I actually, I mentioned this a little bit in the Kickstarter video, but I kind of came up with the idea for Then It Was Dark, at least in terms of the theme, because I kind of wanted to make a book that had stories that I didn't feel like I saw enough of, because, you know, there's a decent number of anthologies out right now, and I wanted something that had a reason to exist outside of just being an anthology. And, you know, I actually really, really love stories like this, personal paranormal stories. And things that just happen to people that are scary and kind of hard to pin down. And you know, you see a lot of that in prose. I've read a lot of books that are collections of stories like that. You can obviously find plenty of them on the internet. And there's a little bit kind of on TV and film, in that you've got like Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventurers, or you even have movies that are fiction but trying to create the feel of a nonfiction paranormal movie, like obviously Paranormal Activity and the hundreds of clones that have spawned of it. But I've never really seen anything quite like that in comics. If it does exist, I would love to hear about it. But even if it does exist, it's uncommon enough that I have not encountered it, and I read quite a lot of comics, so I thought, you know what, I want to see more stories like that, so the only way to do that is to help them get made, you know, and because of the nature of stories like that, you know, it's not like if I just wanted more stories about, I don't know, robots or whatever, I could write a bunch of stories about robots. I can't, like, go out and have a bunch of paranormal experiences. I mean, I suppose I could try. You know, I could go to haunted sites. It's just not the same deal. So I just put out an open call, and I got a really, really huge response. A whole lot of people have had strange experiences, or know people who have had them. I have had one or two unusual things happen to me that I can't quite pin down as one thing or another, and they're going to be in the book, or at least one of them is. I don't know, maybe I'll have a sequel and put the rest in, I don't know. Right now, I'm just focused on Then It Was Dark as is. Getting that funded, made, and shipped out. And I have a feeling it is going to be a very, very, very interesting, very good book. Not that I'm biased. I am the most unbiased source you could possibly have when it comes to Then It Was Dark. I have no inherent bias about it. None. None. At all. Okay, I got a fairy princess carnivorous worm. Let's see what's next. Feel free to put a suggestion in the comments, if you want. And if you miss out on this live stream, there's going to be others. I'm going to be doing a few of them in these last days of the Kickstarter. This is the first one, so I have had a little technical troubles with this one, but I think that I've learned from my mistakes, and hopefully any future live streams will go just swimmingly. Let's see. What else can I talk about when it comes to Then It Was Dark? Well, I can say that I am very excited to be working with a lot of the artists in this project. You know, there are some people who there are several people actually who responded to the open call, whose work I was familiar with, who, you know, I was very pleasantly surprised that they were interested enough in this project to, I guess, try out for it. And they had some really cool stories, too. I'm on the fence of how much I should tell you about any of their stories. You know, part of me thinks, let's keep it spoiler-free. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I can say that they run a pretty good range in terms of what's going on, in terms of how much is going on, I guess. I don't know necessarily what the attitude of everyone who's backing is, because I know some people read stories of the paranormal because they are absolutely 100% believers. There are some who read stories of the paranormal who don't believe any of it, but who just are really interested in the stories. I'm somewhere in between myself. But, you know, inevitably when I see a bunch of paranormal stories, there are some that I feel a little more skeptical about, some that, you know, I can think of a few explanations for, and some that I can't explain that seem kind of plausible. I have no idea what I'm drawing right now, by the way. If you think I've got some kind of master plan here, I have none. This is like phone doodling. You know, the kind of stuff you doodle on an envelope when you're on the phone. This is like that. You doodle stuff like this when you're on the phone, don't you? If anyone has anything they want me to talk about or anything they want me to draw, just feel free to let me know. I'm just going to check the comments periodically. So, if you make a comment and I don't see it, it might just be because I am checking back and forth. Oh, here we go. Here's some comments. Well, I just answered one from you, so I'll answer one from you, Tim Harrison. Are you pulling stories from around the world or mostly United States? That's the answer to both questions. I think is kind of yes. There's a definite international representation in the artists and writers. Some stories are from other countries and other cultures. There's also quite a lot of artists and writers who are American, but you'll get a little bit of variety in there. If you look through the artist names, you'll see that there are some who are from the United States, some who are from other countries. There are a few stories that are about creatures that are kind of specific to non-American cultures. There's one artist who is doing a story about a Thai ghost that sits on your shoulder. It's going to be a pretty good one. Let's see. Other questions. We'll have so many great stories. Can you draw something from one of the stories, something unusual that made you look twice? Well, should I draw something from someone else's story or from my own? I guess it would make most sense to draw something from my own story, because that's something I actually have first-hand experience of. Because anyone else's, it would just be like mental images I got when looking at the descriptions, or images that you've probably already seen because they're on Kickstarter. Which is up now, of course. Still running, still looking for backers. Anyone who is interested in backing it, feel free to go there now. And if you do, let me know. And I'll do something special for you. So, I guess I'll do from my own story. Now the question is, how much should I tell you about my own story? Should I tell you absolutely nothing and just let the image be there? Or should I go into a little bit of detail? I think I'm just going to leave the image and let you all sort of infer your own story from there. And then when the book comes out, you can see how close you were to the actual experience. This story takes place in my childhood home. It takes place when I was fairly young. Something else that happened in my childhood home, and I can tell you about this because this isn't in the anthology at all. My dad is not someone who is interested in the paranormal in general. So he is very much not inclined to have something strange happen and think, oh, maybe there's some kind of paranormal explanation for it. But there is one story that he told me about that happened also in my childhood home. I don't know if I was... I think that from what he said, I was either not born yet or I was like an infant, so I couldn't have been out and moving about. I was in a crib. And he was, it was late at night, and he was getting something from the linen closet in the hallway. And he was walking down the hall, and he kind of knocks into something. It's like the feeling you would get if you ran into someone very short, like child-sized. And he almost kind of trips over this person. And there's nothing there to trip over. There's no one there, you know? There's my mother, who presumably was asleep in bed, or not there at the time. And I was either not born or I was a baby in a crib, so I wasn't running around down the hallway. We didn't have any pets. And if some kind of animal had somehow gotten loose in the house, he would have surely seen or heard it after he tripped over it. You know, it was something of size and physicality. So that's his story. It's not the most exciting, but it's, you know, it's kind of a neat little story, especially in terms of how it fits in with my own experience that I had as a child in the same home, which you will all get to read about in the book. Let's see what we got here. If we have any new comments. Don't think there are any new ones. Oh. Anyone who has a question or anything they want me to draw, feel free to pop it in the comment box, and I shall draw it and or talk about it. Let's see. I think I'll just leave the image with no specific comment. What else should I draw? We're getting near the end of when I was originally going to have this live stream, but since there was some problems at the beginning and I started a little late, I'll just fill out the hour. I'll go until the little timer says I've gone 60 minutes, and then I'll stop. So you guys get a little extra time because you were kind enough to put up with my flailing attempts at my first live stream. Let's see. What shall I draw next? I'll draw the creature that my dad tripped over in my imagination. This isn't any particular mental image I got when he told me the story. I'm kind of just doodling by the seat of my pants. That looks stupid. I'll do something better for you. Has anyone out there ever had something they can't explain happen to them? Any kind of weird experience? You know, I've had a lot of people over the years talk to me about kind of strange things that have happened to them, and you know, depending on the person, they're either very quick to offer some other explanation just to make sure that I don't think that it's anything supernatural or paranormal, or they expect me to be very skeptical, or they expect me to be very believing, and I tend to be neither. I tend to just be interested in the story. I honestly kind of don't care what caused it to happen. I just want to know if it's interesting. Hmm. No other comments, I don't think. Well, I'll just keep drawing stuff then. Till the 60 minutes are up. I will be having more of these live streams. Um, I'll let you know on Tumblr and on Facebook and the like when the next one will be. It may or may not actually just. I may or may not actually just decide to do one every day for the rest of the Kickstarter, since we only got 4 days left. So, if you're either just tuning in or you're seeing this later on and you're sad you missed it, don't worry, there's more opportunities coming down the pipe. Coming down the pipe. If anyone has any questions or anything they are interested in hearing about, I'm saying this over and over again, I know, but just for anyone who either is just coming in or whatever, just feel free to leave a comment, and I shall do my best to respond to it. I have no idea what I'm drawing here again. Not a clue. Almost looks like a Dr. Seuss fish, doesn't it? It's the ghost version of a Dr. Seuss fish. don't know about you, but it is very hard for me to talk and write. I can talk and draw just fine, but words don't thing in the thing when I write. Let's see. No new comments. Got another watcher, though, so if you are interested in seeing me draw anything, or if you... Oh, wait, got another one. Looks like the Kickstarter got up over 10,000. Well, that is just wonderful. Let's see how much. Yep, over 10,000! Yay! Well, that makes me very happy because we are more than 2/3 funded now. And if we're lucky, that is a sign of good things to come. Alright. I think we're getting close to an hour, but let's find out. We're getting near an hour, so in about 8 minutes I'll stop. I just want to thank everyone for putting up with my little initial trouble. I hope that you've been enjoying this live stream. I will be doing another one soon. I will definitely do at least one more before the Kickstarter ends. So, you will have that to look forward to, hopefully. Oh, and if you are watching and you're a backer, then you will probably know that the cover of Then It Was Dark is being determined by a backers only poll. So, if you are thinking of backing and you're not sure whether you want to do so or not, if you back for even as little as $1, you will have access to that poll. You can see what the covers look like, all the possible cover designs, and you can have a say in what will be the final design for Then It Was Dark. That's pretty cool, I think. Drawn a little balloon. Okay, I think we're about almost at our time limit. So, before I log out, I want to say thank you all for watching, for backing Then It Was Dark. If we hit our first stretch goal, everyone is going to get one of these, a high-resolution PDF of it, suitable for printing. So it's really like getting a, it's kind of like getting a print, I think. And it's just this little giant piece of fan art I did. If you look around, you can see that there are about 13 different properties in it. Mostly just things I like that are related to mysteries or spooky things. I like a lot of spooky things, but I try to pick things that were mostly fairly current, just so there'd be a chance for other people to like them too. And if you are interested in backing or anything else, or just interested in checking the project out and seeing more about it, you can find it on Kickstarter. Just search for Then It Was Dark, or you can go to the link that's right at the bottom of this live stream. And as you can see, we are over 10,000, which is just great. And I guess that's about all there is to say for now, so thank you very much, and I will close out. And keep an eye peeled for the next one, which will hopefully be a little smoother than this.